After having to hold our breaths a little bit in that 6th, 7th, 8th inning area of last night, the Evansville Otters were able to pull out a 5-3 victory here in Washington. A good evening to you, and welcome into beautiful Wild Things Park here in Washington, Pennsylvania, where the Evansville Otters are trying to make it 5 straight wins and complete a series sweep against the Washington Wild Things. I'm Matthew Will, joining you here on the Otters Digital Network. Our thanks to you for taking the time out of your Sunday to spend it with the Evansville Otters, who seemed to get things going from the beginning to the end of last night's game. And it was Big Hit Mac, the one for the Otters, who got it started, worked in the middle, and finished things off at the end. Elijah McNamee hit a 2-run triple in the first to immediately put Evansville on the board, but then in the bottom of the second, slammed the door on Washington with a catch out in right field and a gun down at a man at home. It wasn't just beating the runner home. It was getting the ball home, letting Justin Felix order dinner, then finally tagging the man out on his way to the plate. As we went through the middle innings, Evansville picked up one more run on an error, but that's when Washington found their first success of the day. A double immediately chased Brett Adcock from the game. Jacob Bowles enters the game, struggled a little bit, ended up having the bases loaded, only faced 3 men before the Otters had Jake Polancic come in and close things out and take the Otters into the 8th inning, where Evansville yet again turned to Elijah McNamee to bring in a couple of runs, one on the RBI, an extra one on a error that allowed Bierman to come around and score. Evansville closed out their 5-3 win with the Frontier League's top closer, Logan Sawyer, picking up save number 20 on the season. The win streak hit 4. It was 2 straight series victories for the Otters, and it was nice to pause everything last night, sit back and admire that this team played considerably good baseball for 2 nights in a row on all sides of the ball. Good offense, wonderful pitching. There's only been 1 extra base hit in this entire series so far for Washington, and a lot of that needs to be credited to not just the pitching staff, but also the incredible defensive effort for the Evansville Otters. With their win, Evansville moved a little bit closer here in the West Division. They still sit 8.5 games out, tied with Schaumburg, and Schaumburg just won. So Schaumburg goes a half game above Evansville, and the Otters now need to win to keep pace there. Joliet did lose, so they dropped back an extra game to give Evansville a little bit of breathing room if they lose. They're announcing the starting lineups now, and we're going to have the national anthem here from Wild Things Park, just a few minutes away from getting started with Game 3 of this set. The Otters looking for a 3-game set. Don't go anywhere. First pitch is next. And it is finally that time. Just a couple seconds away from the first pitch here for Game 3 of this three-game set between the Evansville Otters and the Washington Wild Things. Another good afternoon to you. Welcome inside Wild Things Park, right here in the heart of Washington, Pennsylvania. Site for today's Game 3 of this Frontier League three-game set. Evansville is winners of 4 straight games, 2 straight series, and are looking to grab themselves a series sweep over the best team in the Frontier League, the Washington Wild Things. It's been pretty simple. The starting pitching and, more importantly, the defense behind them have kept Evansville not only in this series but ahead in this series. We saw it in just about every stage of last night, but the biggest part of the entire game was that bottom of the ninth inning. Gordon tracked the ball out in center. Rosario made a great catch into the wall out and left. And then a close play at second got it done for Evansville. The defense has certainly put Evansville in a place where now they can continue to push closer and closer to this Washington team. There's nothing decided yet. The division title has not been assigned yet. Washington still is in the driver's seat. It is theirs to lose right now. But both Schaumburg and Evansville are still very much in the conversation to make a push back into this and potentially grab the division championship title. And all three teams are still well in a place where they could win a playoff spot. On the mound tonight for the Washington Wild Things is Justin Showalter. The new pro is making his third start of his professional career. He's 2-0 so far with an 0.84 ERA. He's given up 2 runs on 9 hits and 10 2/3 innings. He will face off against the Edward Jones leadoff hitter, Brian Rosario. Miles Gordon and Elijah McNamee both to follow here in the first inning. So Rosario at the plate, playing left today. First pitch home. Stays in the zone for a called strike on the high edge at 5:38 for our first pitch. Rosario went hitless in game 1 of this series, then picked up a single to start off yesterday's game before going 0 for 4 in the remainder of yesterday's game. A 1-1 towards Rosario. That one works well inside, and with it, the count goes to 2-1. It is a high chance that we see some rain here in Washington today. It just depends on when, where, and how much. And, of course, the golden question, how far we are through this game. A bouncing ball towards the second baseman. DeBrule sent to first in time for the first out of this ball game. Let's walk you around the defensive alignment today for this Washington team. Peterson plays left, Mang in center, Roa is out and right. Across the infield, it's Ian Walters at third, Wilbur at short, DeBrule at second, Check playing first, and it's the new face for the series at least, Devin Fisher, manning things behind the plate. The lefty Miles Gordon has stepped in and ready for his first at-bat in this game. He starts off with a called ball high and outside. Miles Gordon did not get a hit yesterday, but walked twice, scored a run as well. 1-0 pitch, misses inside, and with it the count expires to 2-0. Two-0 pitch home to Gordon. This one stays too high for him, and he's ahead in the count. 3 balls, no strikes. One out, a 3-0 count to Miles Gordon. And he was taking all the way there for a called strike on the outside half. Gordon's going to be followed by McNamee here in the inning. Bierman, Davis, and Baez make up the middle 3 before Tanksley, Armstrong, and Khalil round out the lineup for Evansville. A 3-1 pitch is sent towards the first baseman, Check. He makes a nice play and steps on first for out number 2. So with that, the designated hitter Elijah McNamee steps in. I mentioned it a couple times at the top of yesterday's broadcast because I wanted to, bring a little bit of focus to the congratulations that was Elijah McNamee playing in his 200th career professional game. Little did I know he was going to explode yesterday. 2 hits, 3 RBIs, a wonderful game for the right fielder McNamee. He's the DH tonight, and he'll start with a called strike on the outside half to kick off this at-bat. 0-1 the count to Elijah McNamee. He hits a ball hard, but it's off the handle of the bat and sent foul to the left side. For the third straight night, there is just about no wind at this ballpark. Elijah McNamee had two separate balls here so far in this series that he has absolutely crushed to left field, but because it went a little bit too high, the ball died up in the air and could not make it out of here. 0-2 stays high, and McNamee has something in the other column now. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Defense playing straight up all the way around for McNamee as the 1-2 comes home. And it's fouled high, back behind home. Will end up on the roof of this place, and with it the count remains set at 1 ball, 2 strikes. The 1-2 on the way is foul tipped past Fisher, and McNamee will keep himself alive in the count. Otters return home Tuesday night to start a 6-game homestand. Those are the final 6 games at historic Bosse Field this year in the regular season. We'd love to see you out there. EvansvilleOtters.com is where you can find tickets. 1-2 is well outside, and with it the count evens up. If you want to see what's going on this week at Bosse Field, you can find all of that at EvansvilleOtters.com/promotions. 2-2 home. McNamee sends it out towards left. It's going towards that back left corner, and it's down for extra bases. There goes McNamee around first, and he's in with a stand-up double here with 2 outs in the first. I tell you what, big hit Mac is on a roll right now, and he continues what has been an exceptional form of baseball. And you can make it a 5-game hitting streak now for Elijah McNamee. And a team-high 8 straight on base. 2 outs, man at second, and Zach Bierman heading to the plate. Zach Bierman has hits in 4 straight games. And time is called to reset. McNamee stands on second with 2 outs. Zach Bierman at the plate, an RBI chance here early in the game. First pitch home to Zach Bierman. There goes McNamee towards third. What a jump, and there won't even be a throw. McNamee had a great jump towards third, grabs himself a stolen base, and now the go-ahead run is just 90 feet away here in the first inning of this ball game. Bierman readies for the 1-0 with McNamee at third and 2 outs. Bierman hits the ball hard to the right side. It's going to get past the second baseman, and Evansville's going to score here in the first. Zach Bierman grabs himself an RBI single. And for the second straight day, Evansville already on top here in the first inning. McNamee got a double, stole third. He really wouldn't have even needed to steal third. He probably could have rounded and made it home regardless on that play. But now Zach Bierman has his first RBI in a couple of nights. Evansville 1, Washington 0. The J.R. Davis heading to the plate, the cleanup man for the Otters. Davis has a 1-0 count. He's the Otters' top RBI man, 46 to his name this year. 1-0 pitch towards the third baseman, Davis. Is off the handle of the bat, had him choked up, and it's sent foul out of the park to the right side. And with it, our count evens up. 1 ball, 1 strike. A lot of games already underway and concluded in the Frontier League. Tri-City defeated Trois-Rivières 8-1. Schaumburg got a 9-2 win at Florence. That now puts Schaumburg a half game over Evansville as of right now. New Jersey defeated Empire State just barely 8-7. 1-1 pitch looks good but stays too high. That's ball 2. Sussex County gets a 7-5 win against New York. Big win for the Miners, as coming into the day they had jumped their way up to third. Ottawa out of a playoff spot as of right now. Wild to think that a couple weeks ago they were still 6 games shy of third place. 2-1 hit sharply towards the third baseman. A nice scoop from Walters. His throw over to first is in time for the third out, but not before Evansville scores the game's first run on an RBI single from Zach Bierman. We've played one half. It's Evansville 1. Wild things coming to bat here on the home of the Otters Digital Network. Into the bottom of the first we go. Evansville already on top in this one after an RBI single from Zach Bierman. It's 1-0 Evansville. Coming to the bottom half, and Austin Gossman takes the mound for the Otters. Enters tonight's game 7-5, a 3.64 ERA. He has hands down been Evansville's most consistent starter since the departure of Parker Brahms in early July. He got kind of knocked around in his last couple of starts. They both came against a Windy City squad at Windy City. He only made it through 2 1/3 innings, giving up 7 runs on 7 hits. But since he had that game against Windy City, still received the loss, giving up 3 runs on 6 hits and 6 2/3. But he was much more consistent, and it was good to see Gossman finally settle in a little bit more. As for the history for Austin, of course, he started his collegiate career there in the Division I level, got cut after his freshman year, went to USI there in Evansville, and had a couple of very consistent years before earning his first professional opportunity with Evansville. Won his very first 2 decisions, lost his next 9 last year, but now this year he's emerged as one of the most consistent Otters and has been a lot of fun to watch. Gossman on the mound, and Tanksley behind the plate for Evansville today. A pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at The Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. Tristan Peterson, Scotty DeBrule, and Wagner Lagrange are the 3 who will kick off the half inning for Washington. First pitch home from Gossman on the outside, but a little bit too far for ball 1. Austin Gossman, a guy who is not going to use the windup very much, almost exclusively stretch for him. 1-0. Low outside, make it ball 2. Let's walk you around the defensive alignment for Evansville today. Rosario in left, Gordon in center, Jeffrey Baez manning right. Across the infield, it's J.R. Davis at third, George Khalil at short, Andy Armstrong at second, and the beer man at first. Brody Tanksley manning things behind the plate. A 2-0 home to the leadoff man Peterson. Right across the heart of the plate for a called strike 1. Gossman taking a second to reset at the front of the mound today, all the way towards that third base side of the rubber. Bierman's going to make a chase towards this one in foul territory at the wall, leaning over, and he runs out of room as he runs into the wall. Just a little bit shaken up there. There was so much room between him and Tanksley that Tanksley could not really easily let him know how much room he had. In Evansville, that's a caught foul ball, and it's out number 1, and I think that was what made things hard for Bierman. used to a little bit more room over there. Instead, our count evens up. 2 balls, 2 strikes for the left fielder, Peterson. Peterson's hit in the 3-hole the last 2 nights. A 2-2 home. Again on the outside half, and again, called ball. And with it, we have our first full count in this bottom half. Gossman takes an extra second to ready himself for the payoff pitch to Tristan Peterson. On the way now, and it's grounded away towards the left side. Will end up into the screen. So we'll have to try again at 3-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes for the left fielder, Tristan Peterson. Gossman nods in towards his catcher, Tanksley. As the 3-2 makes its way home. Outside ball 4, and it's a leadoff walk. As a pitcher-catcher battery, Gossman and Tanksley have actually not worked together yet this year. Gossman's had his most success with Dakota Phillips, who still remains on the IL for Evansville. They were 3-0 together with a 1.84 battery ERA. First pitch home, stays outside. Or no, it doesn't. It's a called strike on the outside half. That one really looked like it got away from Gossman. But he's got a leadoff strike on Scotty DeBrule, the second baseman. DeBrule's been our leadoff man the last couple of nights. But a changeup in the order as things have not gone Washington's way. An 0-1. Hit hard to the right side, through for a base hit, and there's runners at first and second here to kick off this bottom half. So Gossman going to have to do a little bit of damage control after allowing the first 2 men on base. The DH, Wagner Lagrange, heads to the plate with 2 men on and nobody out. Lagrange is hitless in this series. And 4 of his 8 outs have come on the ground, which I'm sure is what the Otters would love to have here. First pitch home. Stays low and outside. Ball 1. Calling balls and strikes behind the plate today is Nicholas Saxton. He'll have Jim Shaley working things on the right side of the infield. Mike O'Leary mans the left side of the infield. A 1-0 home. Bounces in for ball 2. Gossman looking for a little bit of consistency here to start this game. Strikes have been hard to find so far. DeBrule stands on first, Peterson on second. Nobody out here in the bottom half of the first inning. The 2-0 home. Good for a called strike on that inside half. Gossman looking in towards his catcher, Tanksley. Nods home. Doesn't even give a glance to second. Now the glance, now the 2-1 home. Hit towards the right side, through for a base hit, gets past Bierman. It's headed to the corner and it dies out there. Baez finally gets to it. 1 man scores, 2 men scores. They're trying for a triple, and indeed it's going to be a 2-run triple for Wagner Lagrange. And you know, really, it's the first time all series we've seen Washington really earn some runs. Evansville has given away a lot of runs so far in this series. Of course, the only 3 that they've given up were in last night's game, and they were all caused by the walks and the hit by pitch. So this is the first time that we've seen Washington really put their foot down and earn their runs. And now they lead 2-1 here in the bottom half of the first inning. First pitch home to the cleanup man, Andrew checks a called strike. Still nobody out here in the bottom half of the first inning. Man on third and an 0-1 count. Chet can bring the man home with almost anything here. 0-1 pitch to the plate. Hit right back up the middle. Another base hit. And make it 3-1 Washington. Andrew Check puts it right over the head of Austin Gossman. And Goose is still looking for his first out in this outing. So Andrew Check stands on first with the center fielder Jared Mang heading to the plate. 3 straight base hits have put Washington on top here in the bottom half. Pitch comes home and is missed and goes straight into the face mask of Brody Tanksley. And he'll take a second to reset. Our home plate umpire, Nicholas Saxton, runs the ball out to Gossman himself just to make sure everything's all good with Tanksley. And we're ready to go with the 0-1 with the man on first and still nobody out here in the bottom half of the first inning. Oh, 1 pitch to Jared Mang. Stays high. 4-1 and the count evens up. And so far for Austin Gossman, he's thrown 15 pitches and only 9 have been strikes. One on the way. Cranked out towards right. Baez will chase back towards the warning track at the wall, and that's where he brings it in for out number 1. They throw back to first. It's going to be a close play, but back in time was Check. He was really gambling there. Jeffrey Baez is not the arm I would challenge as a runner, and he just about made Check pay, but it is just 1 out. So that'll bring Ian Walters to the plate. Still a man on first, and now 1 out in the half inning. Wild Things lead 3-1. First pitch to Walters. He cranks one out towards right. Baez is just going to watch that one fly. It is gone. 2 runs for the Wild Things, and they now lead by 4. And this is the Washington team we expected to see coming into this series. Washington did not have an extra base hit until late in yesterday's game in this series so far. They now have 2 in this inning alone and now lead 5-1. Gossman's only been able to find 1 out so far. First pitch home. Looks like it missed high for ball 1. The lead is now 4 for Washington in the bottom of the first inning. Evansville has only been able to find 1 out so far. A pitch hit on the ground towards Khalil at short. He plays it into the glove. The throw to first is in time for out number 2. Well, had that been the ball in the last play, it would have ended the inning. But instead, Washington was able to take advantage of it. So the 8-hole hitter shortstop Tyler Wilbur heading to the plate. First pitch home to Wilbur. Stays low for ball 1. Two outs, nobody on base. Washington's scored 5 in the frame. 1-0 home to Tyler Wilbur, the shortstop. He's caught chasing low and away for a swinging strike 1 that evens our count at 1 ball, 1 strike. So the count's evened. 1 ball, 1 strike now. The 1-1. Hit towards the right side, down that right field line, but foul. So the count falls to 1-2. For Tyler Wilbur, Gossman now has himself potentially 1 pitch away from finally drawing this first inning to a close. You did things right in the top half, got yourself a lead, but it has been all Washington since this half inning started. The 1-2 headed home to Tyler Wilbur. High inside, almost caught him on the elbow. He's just able to get out of the way in time. With it, our count evens up. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, nobody on base. Gossman readies for the 2-2 pitch to the shortstop, Wilbur. Toss is on the way, and it's low outside. It's another full count. Three balls, 2 strikes to Tyler Wilbur. A payoff pitch on the way from Austin Gossman. High inside, it's ball 4, and the inning continues. And that will bring the 9-hole hitter catcher Devin Fisher to the plate for the first time in the series. And that is going to cause Max Peterson to come out and have a talk with his pitcher, Austin Gossman. It's just Gossman, Peterson, and Tanksley at the plate, or at the mound right now. Pretty quick discussion there. So with 2 outs and a man at first, Devin Fisher is the one now stepping to the plate. First pitch home. Swinging strike 1. Gossman taking a second to reset. Glance over towards first prior to the 0-1 pitch. It's well outside, and with it, our count evens up. Gossman looking for anything that can get him out of this inning. A 1-1 is sent foul to the left side. If you count this and Gossman's last 2 starts, he has given up 15 runs on 17 hits in just 10 innings of work. Prior to that, though, he had only given up 26 earned runs all season And he's got 15 in his last 10 innings now. The 1-2 home. Again, sent fouled off to that left side, and it's down the tunnel, and there go the children. One ball, 2 strikes is the count, with 2 outs and a man on first. Gossman begging for a strike here to get he and his defense out of this first inning. The 1-2 home. Misses high and away, ball 2. Decent lead over at first for Tyler Wilbur as the 9-hole hitter Devin Fisher steps in. The 2-2 home to Devin Fisher, the catcher. Swinging, strike 3, and it's a German-American Bank strikeout that finally draws this first inning to a close. Washington scores 5, and they lead by 4 as we head to the second inning. It's Evansville Otters baseball right here on the Otters Digital Network. We head to the top of the second inning. Not exactly what the Evansville offense thought they were going to be coming back out to. Grabbed themselves a lead in the first, but then Austin Gossman got pushed around a little bit before he was able to grab his first out. 5-run score for Washington, and they lead by 4 as we head to the second inning. Do want to let you know that Evansville Otters baseball on the Otters Digital Network is brought to you by Working Distributors, Evansville. First pitch into Jeffrey Baez. We'll hit him on the back, and it'll be a 1-pitch hit-by-pitch to Jeffrey Baez. So Baez, after not playing last night, is welcomed back to the ball field with a off-speed pitch to the back, and he'll head over to first. So now the Tank heads to the plate. Brody Tanksley making his first appearance after a couple nights off, with Felix returning to the lineup. As of right now, dating back to that big week of production for Tanksley, he is on a 4-game on-base streak. Picked up some solid RBIs while in that stretch as well. First pitch home to Tank. High and inside for ball 1. Keep an eye on Baez. He might try to grab an extra base here. Brody Tanksley looking at a 1-0 count. Nobody out. Runner on first is Jeffrey Baez. The 1-0 home. Pushed out towards right field. Chasing back is Roa. Back towards the warning track, and that's where he'll bring it in for the first out of this second inning. Hard hit ball by Tanksley, just not quite enough. So the 8-hole hitter, second baseman Andy Armstrong, strides in. Armstrong was 0 for 4 last night, reached on an error, and when he reached on that error, it allowed a run to score for Evansville. That ended up being kind of an important insurance run at the time. But then on Friday night, he had a 2-hit outing, including a RBI double that he pushed down that left field line to help Evansville to that opening night win. First pitch home now. There goes Baez towards second. The throw out's on the right side of the bag, but it's good out towards center field, and Baez is just going to hold firm at second. And he's got himself a stolen base. So for Jeffrey Baez, he now has 21 stolen bases on the year, good for second best on the team. That's also good for the 253rd of his career. Big man can move. So Armstrong looking at an 0-1 count. One out to now a man in scoring position. Pitch comes home. Armstrong sends it bouncing towards the second baseman, DeBrule. Plays it into the glove. The throw to first is in time. And Armstrong is going to be able to move the runner over to third. Ended up being a little bit more difficult to play for DeBrule as it looked. After the big hop, he had to make a accurate throw after the exchange. So brings up the 9-hole hitter, shortstop George Khalil. Khalil is 0 for 7 in the series, reached on a hit by pitch in his very first plate appearance, and ever since has not made it on base. First pitch to him is on the inside for a called strike one. It's always said that when you have really defensively sound middle infielders, you can get away with having a batting average that struggles a little bit, but this has been a really tough stretch for George. 0-1's outside and evens his count up at a ball and a strike. Khalil has 24 RBIs on the season. Boy, he'd love to make it 25 with something dropped into the outfield here. A 1-1 home to George Khalil. He chases down in towards the turf as the 7-iron goes by for a swinging strike two. So now Khalil's going to have to battle a little bit at the plate. Behind in the count, 1-2. 2 outs and a runner at third. Pitch on the way is well outside. A good stop from Fisher. Keep that one from escaping back to the backstop. The sky is getting more and more dark here at Wild Things Park. Not a matter of if, but a matter of when the rain decides to come join us. 2-2 to Khalil, swinging strike three on the inside. And the Otters cannot bring home Jeffrey Baez after he got himself to third. We head to the bottom half of the second inning. It's Washington 5, Evansville 1. Bottom of the second inning, Evansville gets the leadoff man on there in the last half inning, but can't do anything with him despite him. Baez got himself all the way to third, and they couldn't do anything with it. As we begin the second, we also begin the second time through the lineup for Washington. Leadoff man Tristan Peterson will kick us off. Scotty DeBrule and Wagner Lagrange to follow. Breeze picking up incredibly now just in the last couple of seconds, minutes, I guess you could say. His first pitch home is good for a called strike on Tristan Peterson. For the first time today, we see the flags out in left field moving. Wind is blowing straight in from left field. 0-1, the count towards Tristan Peterson. Gossman kicks and delivers. Good looking pitch on the low outside edge, but it was too far out, and the count evens up. Another check-in on things going around in the league. Ottawa 6-0 at Quebec right now in the bottom of the third inning. 1-2 the count after the called strike. By the way, Lake Erie did defeat Joliet, so an Evansville loss is not as big a deal had if Joliet won, because that would have had Evansville and Joliet tied for third in this West Division. The Otters at least have some breathing room if they cannot come back in this ballgame. A 1-2. Called strike three. It's two straight German American Bank strikeouts for Austin Gossman. Evansville has only come back from a 4-run deficit once this year. That was on Wednesday night. Other than that, they've only come back from 3-run losses in 3 occasions. So this is a big hole for Evansville to have to dig themselves out of. First pitch home. Sent up the middle. Khalil with a long run towards it. He gets it into the glove, but he won't have time for a throw. Amazing that he even got to the ball. And it's an infield hit for Scotty DeBrule. And the rain must be moving in, as it looks like fans are starting to vacate the third base side of the seating areas. One out, runner on first, and the first pitch home to Wagner Lagrange. High and inside, Lagrange has to fall away in order to not get hit. Austin Gossman really needs an inning that allows him to settle in this ballgame. The 1-0 pitch coming home to Wagner Lagrange. Outside, ball 2. One ball, 2 strikes for Wagner Lagrange. Pitch comes home. Catches the zone for the first strike of the at-bat, and it's 2-1. Man on first is Scotty DeBrule after his second single of the day. There's a 2-1 count home towards Wagner Lagrange. It's outside again, make it ball 3. Three balls, 1 strike. So the designated hitter, Wagner Lagrange, he had the 2-run triple in that first inning. 3-1 home. Runners going towards second. The relay out there looks good, but it's just a little bit late. Tanksley didn't get the ball on his first time trying for it in his glove, and because of it, it was not in time. Big ol' lightning strike on the just above the hill in front of us. As the count goes to 3-2 for Lagrange, now a man at second. And there's the Thunder to follow. A 3-2 pitch home. Sent out towards shallow right, and instead it's going to be actually fouled off right next to first, and Bierman will bring it in for the second out of the inning. I half expected to check in on the Frontier League scoreboard and see that Windy City had scored a run or two after the presence we had heard here. Don't worry, they're still scoreless from Gateway. Two outs and a runner on second with Andrew Check heading to the plate. He had an RBI single his last time up. Pitch comes home to him. Too far outside for ball one. So the count's now at 1-0 for Andrew Check. Ball to the plate. Sent right back up the middle again for Check. Khalil gets to it somehow. The throw to first is high, but Bierman's able to tag the man out. And the Otters just barely get out of this second inning without allowing a run. We've played two full. It's Washington 5, Evansville 1 here on the Otters Digital Network. We head to the top of the third inning. Evansville just barely scrapes out of that second inning without giving up a run. Washington already has more hits tonight than they had last night. 5 already in this ball game compared to their 4 from yesterday. Otters are heading to the plate now for the third, heading back to the top of the order. So it's Brian Rosario, the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, followed by Miles Gordon and Elijah McNamee. Ryan Rosario grounded out to the second baseman in his first opportunity today. First pitch coming home. He shows bunt. Pulls away in time for ball one. He would have had the third baseman Walters fooled as he started charging in. Would have gotten to the play rather late. The 1-0. And it's fouled off the foot of Rosario. And with it, his count evens up at a ball and a strike. So our count's evened up. 1 ball, 1 strike for the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Brian Rosario. Takes a pitch to the outside for ball 2. Takes a lead in the count. The 2-1 for Rosario. Stays high, ball 3, about eye level there. And with it, Rosario well ahead, 3-1 in this count. A 3-1 pitch. Stays just under the knees for ball 4. The Otters have their leadoff man on for the second consecutive inning. last night the Otters scored in 3 of the 9 innings. The 3 innings they scored in were all 3 innings they got the leadoff man on. In the 6 they did not score on, they started off with outs. Center fielder Miles Gordon heading to the plate. He grounded out to the first baseman in that first inning. His first pitch here stays too high for ball 1. Just like last inning, I'll say keep an eye over there on first. Rosario has some speed, and he is certainly a guy who's willing to try to risk it for an extra base. The 1-0 to Gordon. And they're going to go check on Rosario, who took a half step the wrong way, but was still able to get back in time. Otters are right back home after this for 3 against the Slammers and then 3 against the Yalls. You can buy your tickets right now at EvansvilleOtters.com. 6:35 is first pitch, Tuesday through Saturday, and then we finish off the home regular season on a week from today. 12:05 first pitch from historic Bosse Field. Love to see out at the ballpark. We had 6,035 this past Thursday night. See if we can match it later this week. 1-0 home. Too far inside for ball 2. Rosario seems fairly content staying there at first. Miles Gordon steps back in. Ahead in the count, 2 balls, no strikes. This time it stays on the inside, but is enough over the plate for a called strike 1. Two 2-1 the count for Miles Gordon. Evansville trying to creep their way back into this one. We're going to go check on Rosario, who's back in time once again. Two-one. The count as the pitch comes home to Gordon. There goes Rosario towards second. The throw is good again, and they say out. Rosario slides into the tag and is caught stealing. Rosario had a good jump, but the throw was much more accurate than the last time the Otters tried a stolen base. A 2-2 is hit sharply to the right side, but foul for Miles Gordon. Another pitch inside will take the count to full for Miles Gordon. A 3-2 home is again hit foul to the right side. A 3-2 pitch towards Gordon. He fouls it off his foot. Three-two remains the count for Gordon. He's a little bit labored on his way back to the plate. Fouled that one off of his lead foot. Three balls, 2 strikes to Gordon for the third time, and this one stays fair to the first baseman. And for the second time today, Miles Gordon out on an unassisted play by the first baseman. Just like that, there are 2 outs in the half inning. So it brings up Elijah McNamee. He had a double back in the first inning. Came around to score on Zach Bierman's RBI single. First pitch home to Mac. Taken for a called strike one on the outside half. Wind has shifted directions. It's now blowing basically from the right field foul pole to the left field foul pole, right across the playing surface. A ball well outside will even our count at 1 ball, 1 strike. Counts evened up at 1-1 for Elijah McNamee. Ball works its way to the outside half, stays outside for ball 2. So now the 2-1 to Elijah McNamee. He hits one sharply to the left side, but foul. Will end up rolling all the way down to the Evansville bullpen. So we're evened up at 2 balls, 2 strikes with 2 outs in the half inning. 2-2 to McNamee. Works well inside. He just barely gets out of the way of it for ball 3. A 3-2 for McNamee. Pushes one foul to the right side, well out of play, and he'll live to see another pitch. So we'll have to try again on the 3-2 payoff pitch to Elijah McNamee. 2 outs here in the top of the third. McNamee caught swinging, and a pitch low and away. And the strikeout takes us to the bottom half of the third. It's still Washington 5, Evansville 1 here on the Otters Digital Network. Bottom of the third inning here from Wild Things Park in Washington, and everything has happened in the first. The Wild Things answered Evansville's 1 run with 5 of their own, and that's where we stand. Due up in the half inning for Washington, Jared Mang, Ian Walters, and Hector Roa. Mang and Roa were 2 of the 3 outs in that first inning. Walters had the 2-run home run. Oh, 1 the count for Jared Mang after the called strike. Gossman waits before the 0-1 comes home. It's a half swing. Did he go? No, he did not, says the first base umpire Jim Shaley. And with it, the count evens up. 1 ball, 1 strike. Even at 1-1, Jared Mang ready for the pitch. Gossman fires, and it's swung on and missed on the high outside edge for a swinging strike 2. The 1-2, well outside. That evens the count up. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Joliet comes to town on Tuesday night. That's a series that between Evansville and Joliet, the home team has swept each of the first 2 series. We kick it off for a 3rd time this year. 6:35 Tuesday night. Ball sent off the handle of the bat and able to drop down into left field for a base hit. And Washington now has hits in all 3 innings so far in this one. Ian Walter is heading to the plate, and for the 2nd time today, he's got a runner on first in front of him. First offering home to Ian Walters with a runner on first and nobody out. It is a called strike way out there on the outside. No balls, 1 strike for Ian Walters. Another pitch in a similar location. This one's left alone for ball 1. Only 3 games going on in the Frontier League for the rest of the day. Of course, ours here in Washington. Ottawa's at Quebec, which is currently a 6-0 game in favor of Ottawa. And then they are just about to get started in Sauget, Windy City, and Gateway. A 1-1 home to Walters. He hits it hard to the right side, through for a base hit. And there are runners at first and second with nobody out for the 2nd time today for Washington. So that will bring up the right fielder Hector Roa with men at first and second after back-to-back singles. Tanksley gives the sign in towards his infielders. And we're ready for the first pitch home to Hector Roa. Gossman readies himself up on the bump. First pitch home to Roa. And it's inside for ball 1. Mang's out there at second, Walters at first. A 1-0 home. Swinging strike 1 on a pitch that broke low and away from Hector Roa. Big time chance for Austin Gossman to get himself a very important first out. The 1-1 pitch comes home. A little bit outside for ball 2. And Gossman will fall behind in the count. Roa's at the plate with a 2-1 count. Tyler Wilbur stands on deck. Gossman's going to step off and reset with his catcher, Brody Tanksley. Two on the count. Gossman nods in towards his catcher and Slings the pitch home. Double steal in order. The throw out to third. Bounces in, but it is in time for the out. They get Mang on his way to third. Walters is going to make his way to second, however. And Roa, guilty of a strike 2. So his count evens up at 2-2. Big out for Evansville to get there. The 2-2. Fouled back into the netting. Count evens. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Two to the plate. Pushed out to the right side. Long run for Jeffrey Baez. It won't matter. It gets itself out of play anyway. Counts evened up. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The pitch towards Hector Roa with a man at second and 1 out. Too far inside, and it's another full count. This has been a series of full counts. All 3 games have had a ton of them. Hector Roa 0 for 1 on the day. He's got a man at second and 1 out. And time is called. Ian Walters has himself a good lead over there at second. Andy Armstrong trying to keep him close. Let's try again on the 3-2 payoff pitch. It's weakly grounded towards Gossman. He picks it up. This throw to first is going to be just barely in time for out number 2. That ball died on Gossman. He could have risked letting it go foul, but he was able to pick it up and zoom one to Bierman at first just in time for the second out of the inning. Walters did advance to third on the play. Wilbur walked in his first opportunity, was left stranded at first in that first inning. Now he heads to the plate with 2 outs, and Ian Walters standing on third. First pitch to Wilbur is sent out towards the foul territory on the first base side. Bierman's underneath it, and that's out number 3. Evansville able to get out of a second consecutive inning just barely without giving up a run. And with it, we make our way to the 4th. Evansville still trails by 4. Top of the fourth inning, Evansville yet again going to have to try to claw their way back into this one as they trail 5-1. And in the fourth, we'll kick it off with Zach Bierman, J.R. Davis, and Jeffrey Baez, the three scheduled here in the half inning. Zach Bierman's 1 for 1 on the day with an RBI single in the first inning. Responsible for the only Evansville run of the game thus far. Hits one hard to the right side. It's into the glove of Check. He'll toss over to the pitcher, Showalter, for out number 1. Unlucky there for Bierman. So as quickly as the inning began, there's already 1 out. And J.R. Davis heading to the plate. Davis is 0 for 1 on the day, grounding into a fielder's choice that ended that first inning for Evansville. First pitch to Davis is well outside for ball 1. One out, nobody on, and a 1-0 pitch to J.R. Davis. Again, well outside. It's going to get away from the catcher, Fisher. So a 2-0 count to J.R. Davis. And it extends out to 3-0. Rio to Davis. Called strike right as Davis was about to throw the bat. It looked well inside, but must have caught just enough for the liking of Nicholas Saxon. We'll have to see at least one more pitch for J.R. Davis. A 3-1. That one is too far in. And Davis is going to get himself a free base. So 1 out, 1 on. Jeffrey Baez will make his way to the plate. It would certainly help Evansville if they could find at least 1 run here in this half inning. Pitch home to Baez. Nice pitch is in there for a called strike 1. Had some good movement on it. No balls, 1 strike to Jeffrey Baez. And again, he is a victim of a strike, this time swinging at a pitch lower in the zone. Oh, to the count. So as the pitch makes its way to the plate, well outside for ball 1. Easy one for Baez to lay off on. Davis at first with 1 out and a 1-2 count to the right fielder Jeffrey Baez. They're going to go check on Davis, however, and he's back in time. So the count out to a 1-2 mark. Jeffrey Baez trying to avoid the strikeout and help out this half inning. 1-2 is hit hard but foul to the left side and will end up over on the Burmee area. So the count remains 1 ball, 2 strikes for Jeffrey Baez. A 1-2 pitch home off the end of the bat, and Very slowly dribbled foul to the right side. So the count remains 1 ball, 2 strikes for Jeffrey Baez. Brody Tanksley's on deck right now. The next Otter due up. Again, they're going to go check on Davis, and again, he's back in time. A 1-2 to Baez. Stays too far outside, and with it, the count evens up. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Tough one to lay off there for Baez, a pitch that he has chased after many times this season. We tried on the 2-2. Baez zooms one down the left field line, but foul. Man, that would have been a jump start for this Evansville offense. But instead, the count will remain at 2 balls, 2 strikes for Jeffrey Baez. A 2-2. Baez almost has that one hit him, and he goes around enough for a swinging strike 3. Good for the 3rd strikeout of the day for Showalter. So Brody Tanksley makes his way to the plate now. He had a hard hit ball his first time up, but it was lined right at the right fielder Hector Roa. Pitch on the way. Right across the heart of the plate for a called strike 1. Two outs and an 0-1 count for Brody Tanksley. Sends one foul to the right side, and he's quickly back in the count 0-2. Good lead for Davis over there. Might see a stolen base attempt this time. The 0-2 for Tanksley. Called strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts are going to end this top half of the 4th. We've played through 3.5 innings. Evansville still trails by 4. Bottom of the fourth inning, Evansville still unable to find their way back into the offensive categories. So they're going to have to rely on some defense as we start to progress through the middle innings. 9-1-2 due up for Washington. Devin Fisher, Tristan Peterson, and Scotty DeBrule. First pitch home to Devin Fisher here in the bottom half of the fourth inning. Is zoomed to the left side, but foul. Looked like it was heading towards J.R. Davis at third, and then it hit the ground for the first time and really started to hook to the left. Oh, 1 the count. And a pitch is well outside to even our count at 1 ball, 1 strike. Windy City, by the way, in the top of the first inning, already up 3-0 at Gateway. And Quebec has found the scoreboard in their game. They currently trail 6-1 in the bottom of the sixth. 1-1. Looked really good. Must have stayed too high. 4 ball 2. So the count advances to 2 balls, 1 strike for Devin Fisher. He's 0 for 1 with the strikeout. Guilty of a swinging strike 2, and his count evens up 2-2. Counts evened at 2 balls, 2 strikes, and a swinging strike 3 will sit down Devin Fisher for the second time today with a K next to his name. It's only the 3rd strikeout of the game for Gossman. So that brings us to the top of the order for the 3rd time today. Tristan Peterson, who is 0 for 1 with a walk and a strikeout, making his way to the plate. First pitch home. Just misses to the outside for ball 1. Gossman fires home on the 1-0. A half swing. Did he go? Yes, he did, says first base umpire Jim Shaley. So the count evens at 1-1. A 1-1 to the leadoff man, Tristan Peterson. And another pitch that stays too high will take the counts at 2-1. The 2-1 to the plate. Zoomed out towards left center. Gordon chasing back. He's at the warning track. He's at the wall. Gone! Make it 6 runs now for Washington after the solo shot, Tristan Peterson. So it's now a 5-run advantage for the Wild Things. The first pitch home is a called strike to Scotty DeBrule. DeBrule's 2 for 2 with a pair of singles so far to his name. The 0-1 is weakly grounded back behind home. And with it, our counts at 0-2. An 0-2, well outside, ball one, an easy one to lay off for Scotty DeBrule. One, two, the count. DeBrule takes it inside for ball two, and his count evens up. The 2-2 pitch on the way. Hit on the ground towards Armstrong at second. He'll play it off the ground and over to first for out number 2. So Wagner Lagrange will step to the plate with nobody on and 2 outs. Lagrange had a 2-run triple in the first. That gave Washington their first lead of the series, and they have not looked back since. First pitch home. Catches the inside edge for a called strike one. Oh, 1 taken for another called strike. And Gossman takes a couple pitch lead in the count now. Bases empty with 2 outs. Gossman trying to take us to the 5th. The 0-2 home. Outside, ball 1. One ball, 2 strikes. And it's fouled back in towards the netting, and living to see another pitch is Lagrange. Austin Gossman got pushed around there in the first. 5 runs given up. Now a solo shot in this inning is added to it. The 1-2. Swinging strike 3. And a German-American Bank strikeout's going to take us to the 5th inning. Washington extends their lead. It's now 6-1 in favor of the Wild Things. Top of the fifth inning, and Evansville down by an extra run now after the solo shot from Peterson. 6-1, the advantage for Washington. Otters have got to find some offense quickly if they'd like to find themselves back into a game. They have not come back from a 5-run deficit ever this season. The 0-1 to Armstrong. Misses outside to even our count up at 1 ball, 1 strike. A 1-1. Works towards the outside edge. Stays too far for ball 2. A 2-1 home is just barely foul tipped back into the netting. Count is even. 2 balls, 2 strikes to the second baseman, Andy Armstrong. He pushes one out towards left, and the catch is made on the run by Peterson for the first out. So George Khalil heads to the plate. He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout back in the second. Ball is weakly grounded over towards the Otters dugout. Then with it, the count falls 0-1 for George. A called strike 2 has Khalil back by a couple now. So an 0-2 pitch. Getting ready to head home to the shortstop, Khalil. Just above the elbows for ball 1. One, 2 ready to come home. Stays well inside, almost gets Khalil. And his count goes to 1 ball, 2 strikes. Or sorry, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ball sent on the ground to the shortstop, Wilbur. He'll play it into the glove. Close play at first. Will be in time for the second out of the inning. So with 2 down now in the inning, Brian Rosario heading to the plate. Edward Jones, leadoff hitter of the game. Brian Rosario's 0 for 1 with a ground out and a walk. After his walk in the third, he was caught stealing second. First pitch home. Stays low and inside for ball 1. One 0. Good for a called strike on that outside half. Also evens things up at a ball and a strike. Ball grounded to the right side. Is going to end up in front of the dugout there for Washington. And we get set for the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch to Brian Rosario. Showalter fires home. It's too far outside, so it evens our count up at 2-2. The 2-2. Zoom to the right side, right into the glove of the first baseman, Chet. And for the first time today, it's a 3-up, 3-down inning for Evansville. We head to the bottom half of the 5th. Evansville trails by 5. We're to the center point energy, center point of this game, and Evansville finds themselves down by 5 as we head to the bottom half of the 5th. And Austin Gossman is going to have to face Andrew Check, Jared Mang, and Ian Walters in the half inning. The three have combined for 4 hits, 3 RBIs, one of which is a 2-run home run. First pitch home, outside for ball 1 to Andrew Check, who just ended that last half inning with the line ball straight at him. The 1-0 pitch home. Stays too far inside. So Gossman falls back 2-0 in the count. The advantage for Andrew Check. Gossman fires home. That one's taken for a called strike 1. Check wanted to go around on it, but watched it for just a little too long. A 2-1 home for the first baseman, Andrew Check. Bounces in for ball 3. Check was 1 for 2 on the day entering this at-bat. RBI single and a ground out to a fielder's choice. A 3-1 now. To the plate. Half swing, and it's a called strike 2. Kind of looked like Check thought he might have had his 4th ball. He's going to try to work towards first with the walk. I'll have to wait at least one more pitch as we've got a 3-2 payoff pitch from Austin Gossman to Andrew Check. It's grounded foul right back into the netting. And we will have to do a second edition of the 3-2. For the second time, we've got a 3-2 payoff pitch to Andrew Check. It is cranked out towards right. Baez will chase back towards the wall. At the wall, gone. Third home run of the day will lift the advantage to 6 for Washington. That one was mashed out to right. So with a run across and nobody out here in the 5th inning, Washington's going to send Jared Mang to the plate now. First pitch home, stays inside for ball 1. It looks like now Evansville's going to start to get a man warmed up. The 1-0 home to Jared Mang. Zoom to the left side, past the third baseman Davis. So there goes Jared Mang around first, and he's got himself a stand-up double. That's back-to-back extra base hits for Washington. It is Kevin Davis who's starting to warm up for the Otters out in the left field pen. Runner at second is Jared Mang after the double. And the lefty Ian Walters steps in. He's 2 for 2 with a single and a 2-run home run. Pitch comes home, low for ball 1. Gossman taking a while to decide on a pitch with his catcher, Tanksley. Finally nods into home, and the 1-0 comes that way. That's good for a called strike on the high outside corner. With it, our count evens up. 1 ball, 1 strike. One ball, 1 strike to the third baseman, Ian Walters. And it's good for another ball. So the count goes to 2-1. A 2-1 to the third baseman, Walters. Catches the outside corner again, and with it, our count evens up. Jared Mang with a good lead out at second. Nobody out here in the bottom half of the 5th. Washington's already scored 1. The 2-2 home is put out towards shallow center. Long way to run for Miles Gordon, and it's actually Armstrong, the second baseman, who drops out in shallow center to make that catch. So Mang will have to remain at second after the Otters grab out number 1 of the inning. So now it's Hector Roa heading to the plate. He's 0 for 2. Rains a man on second, 1 out now. Hector Roa waiting on his first pitch of the at-bat. He puts it right back up the middle. Armstrong will play over to it. Wonderful grab, but he can't make a throw either place. And it will be good for an infield single. So with runners at the corners and 1 out, Tyler Wilbur heading to the plate. He's 0 for 1 on the day. Gossman getting set for the first pitch to Wilbur. And it's on the way. It's off the handle of the bat on the check swing and drops it to an 0-1. So with runners at first and third and just 1 out in the half inning, Austin Gossman trying to find himself a couple of more outs and take this game to the 6th. Pitch comes home for a called strike 2. And with it, Gossman takes a 0-2 count lead. Another solo home run here in the half inning is up the lead to 6 for Washington. The 0-2 to the plate. Swinging strike 3. And Austin Gossman has himself his 5th German American Bank strikeout of this one. And he's up to 180 in his professional career now. Working ever so slightly closer to that big 200 number. First pitch home. Stays low and inside for ball one on Devin Fisher. Fisher's 0 for 2 in the game. A couple of strikeouts. A 1-0 pitch. Stays too high this time. And Gossman's on either side of the zone. So he's back in the count 2-0 to Devin Fisher. To the backstop, Fisher. It's well away from the zone. Tanksley does well to keep it in front of him. But the count expands to 3-0. Maybe think that if a walk happens here, we could see Kevin Davis, or maybe they'd think, or at least try to get Austin Gossman through this fifth inning. The 3-0 home. Good for a called strike one. Roa stands on first, Mang on third with 2 outs. A 3-1 pitch to Devin Fisher. Crank to the left side, almost hit the runner Mang, but it did stay foul. So we have a full count now at this point. So Gossman will have to toss one home on a 3-2 pitch with 2 outs and runners on the corners. A 3-2, low and outside. The bases are loaded. And out comes Max Peterson. Looks like we're going to have a pitching change. Austin Gossman has loaded the bases here in the bottom half of the fifth inning with 2 outs. And it looks like that could be the end of his afternoon. Indeed, a change will happen. I'll let you know who's coming in for Austin Gossman. After this one, it's 7-1 Wild Things here in the bottom half of the fifth inning. Kevin Davis gets the nod out of the bullpen for the Otters as we continue in this bottom of the fifth inning with the bases loaded and 2 outs. This call to the bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Davis on the mound, Tanksley behind the plate. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. Bases loaded, 2 outs, and the leadoff man, Tristan Peterson, at the plate. First pitch to him is taken for ball 1 high. Peterson is 1 for 2 on the day with a solo home run, a strikeout, and a walk. The 1-0 delivery from Kevin Davis. Stays to the outside for ball 2. Runner at first is Fisher. At second is Roa. And at third is Jared Meng. The whole inning started with a solo home run from Andrew Check. The 2-0 to the plate. Good for a called strike 1. Kevin Davis enters this game right now looking to grab 1 out. Might see him in the next inning as well. It's his first appearance since Tuesday, where he gave up 2 runs on 2 hits and 2 1/3 against Windy City. 2-1 finds the zone for a called strike 2, and with it, the deuces are wild. Two count with 2 outs, 3 on. And the 2-2 heads the way towards Peterson. And it's fouled back into the netting. He'll live to see another pitch. Peterson ready to try again on the 2-2 pitch with the bases loaded and 2 outs here in the bottom half of the 5th, where Washington leads 7-1. A 2-2 home. Swinging strike 3, and Kevin Davis strikes out the 1 man he faces. We head to the 6th inning. Evansville trails by 6. To the top of the 6th we go. Evansville trails by 6 after the solo home run in that last half inning. Miles Gordon, Elijah McNamee, and Zach Bierman are the 3 due up in the half inning for the Otters. First pitch to Gordon. Taken for a called strike one. The 1-1 on its way to Miles Gordon. Too high and in for ball two. Two-one pitch to Miles Gordon. Cranked out towards right. Roa chases back towards the wall. It's off the wall. Gordon rounds first. He'll head to second and be in there with a stand-up double to kick off this sixth. So with one man on and nobody out, Elijah McNamee heading to the plate. Elijah McNamee ready for his first pitch of the at-bat. It's on the way. Worked in towards him. The slider got by for a swinging strike one. McNamee on the day is 1 for 2. Had a double in the first. Came around to score on Bierman's single. And then struck out in the third. The 0-1 to Elijah McNamee. Outside, and the count's evened up. 1 ball, 1 strike. They're in the top of the 8th at Quebec. Ottawa leading 6-1. And in the bottom of the second in Sauget, Windy City up 3-1 at Gateway. A 1-1 pitch home to Elijah McNamee. It's low and outside, and he expands his count to 2-1. Miles Gordon stands out there at second. Elijah McNamee at the plate with a 2-1 count. Pitch in towards him. Pushed out towards the second baseman, Jabrul, who will go over to first for the sure thing out. The runner does advance to third, but McNamee is eliminated on the fielder's choice. So the first baseman, Zach Bierman, heading to the plate now with a runner at third and 1 out. Bierman responsible for the only run so far of the day for Evansville on that RBI single in the first. Then he grounded out in the fourth. The first pitch is to the outside for ball 1 for Bierman. The 1-0. Swinging strike one. Bierman really unloaded on that swing, and it crossed on the way inside part. So the count's evened up at 1 ball and 1 strike for Zach Bierman. Still a runner at third, still 1 out. It's pushed off to the left side, well out of play. So the count falls to 1-2 now for Bierman. The 1-2 to Bierman. Outside, and the count evens. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Two headed home. Boomed out towards center, but it loses some ground, and chasing in is Meng for the second out. Gordon's going to advance home on the sac fly. Close play, but the Otters are going to score on the sacrifice fly from Zach Bierman. Gordon comes home on that second out, and it's now 7-2. J.R. Davis is 0 for 1 on the day. Now with the bases empty in front of him and 2 outs. First pitch home stays to the outside for ball 1. And the strike zone is found on the 1-0 and evens the count up. Defense hasn't had to move too much out there. The ball is sent sky high in the infield, and second baseman Jabrul's underneath it for out number 3. Otters bring 1 home on the sacrifice fly, but we head to the bottom half of the 6th. It's 7-2 in favor of the Wild Things. As we head to the bottom of the 6th inning, Kevin Davis returns to the mound for Evansville. He struck out the one batter he was brought in to face in the 5th. But Evansville still trailing in this one by 5. First pitch home. Stays inside for ball 1 on Scotty DeBrule, who's 2 for 3, a couple singles and a ground out so far on the day. The 1-0 pitch home. Outside, evens our count, takes the count out to 2-0. Dan Kubiak is starting to warm up for Washington out in the right field pen. The 2-0 making its way home. And missing again is Davis. 3-0 the count. Counts on the way home. Called strike 1 gets Davis a little bit closer in things. Every single Wild Thing has found their way on base at least once today. The 3-1 to the plate. Pushed foul to the left side. It's going to end up well out of play. Count is now full for the second baseman, Scotty DeBrule. Pitch stays high, and it's a leadoff walk for Scotty DeBrule, his third time on base today. And it's the fourth time on the afternoon that Washington's got the leadoff man on. Man on first and nobody out here in the bottom half of the sixth inning. First pitch home from Davis. Stays high for ball one. One-0 sent home towards LaGrange. Again high for ball two. Lead over there at first for Scotty DeBrule as the 2-0 comes home to LaGrange. Stays outside, ball three. And for the second straight batter, Washington's looking at a 3-0 count. .30 pitch home. Ball four, and there's runners at first and second now. Back-to-back walks have kicked off this bottom half of the sixth for Washington, and out comes Max Peterson to have a chat with his pitcher, Kevin Davis. Otters don't have anyone warming up right now. Back-to-back men saw 3-0 counts. Davis was able to work himself into a full count with DeBrule, but only found the strike zone once against LaGrange. So there's runners at first and second, both off walks, with the first baseman Andrew Check heading to the plate. He's 2 for 3 with an RBI single and a home run. The solo shot in the fifth kicked off that fifth inning that it looked like Washington was going to score a few in, but they only ended up with that solo home run. First pitch home, catches his own for a called strike one. Oh, 1 is the count, and it stays low. For ball one, the count evens up. Counts evened up at a ball and a strike for Check. He extends the hands and fouls one off to the left side. He'll end up getting out of this park as well. And with it, the count falls to 1-2. Counts now at 1-2 for the first baseman, Andrew Check. Kevin Davis fires home, and it stays outside to even the count at 2-2. Runner at first is LaGrange, at second DeBrule. They both reached on walks. 2-2 to Check. High for ball 3. And suddenly a count that Davis was well in control of is now a full count. Full count now for Andrew Check with 2 men on and nobody out. A 3-2 payoff pitch. Swinging, strike 3. And it's the second German American Bank strikeout for Kevin Davis. Center fielder Jared Mang now heading to the plate. He's 2 for 3 with a single and a double so far in the game. And it looks like Jacob Bowles is going to start to warm for the Otters out in the left field pen. Men on first and second with just 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. Pitch stays high for ball 1. Davis came in that 5th, got a strikeout to get Evansville out of the tough situation. But here in the 6th, he's walked 2, struck out 1. The 1-0 home. Swinging, strike 1, evens our count at a ball and a strike. One ball, 1 strike for the center fielder, Jared Mang. And he extends the hands and swings through 1 for strike 2. One ball, 2 strikes. Kevin Davis fires home. Swinging, strike 3. Got Meng to swing at one that was high and in, and it's back-to-back German American Bank strikeouts for Kevin Davis. So that'll bring up the third baseman, Ian Walters. Walters is 2 for 3 on the day with a 2-run home run in the first that really helped put this game away for Washington. They've rode that ever since. First pitch to him here. Swinging, strike 1. It took Davis a couple of batters, but he seems to have fallen into a rhythm now. On the count as the pitch comes home to Ian Walters. Swinging, strike 2. And Davis a pitch away from 3 consecutive strikeouts after a couple walks. To the count to Ian Walters. The pitch home from Kevin Davis. Fouled off towards the netting to the left side. And the count will remain at 0-2. Count remains for Ian Walters with 2 men on and 2 men out. An 0-2 pitch from Kevin Davis. Swung on and missed. Davis walks the first 2 he sees and then puts down 3 straight German American Bank strikeouts. And we head to the 7th. Evansville trails by 5. Into the back third of this one, and a new pitcher on the mound for the Wild Things. Getting the nod out of the right field pin is Dan Kubiak. The righty is entering the game with this call to the bullpen, which is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. It's Kubiak on the mound. Fisher behind the plate. The pitcher catcher battery, sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give them a call at 812-475-9000. Baez, Tanksley, and Armstrong are the three due up for Evansville. Ready for the first pitch is Baez. It's on the way now. It's low and outside for ball one. We can officially close the book on Justin Showalter. He goes 6 full innings, gives up 2 runs on 3 hits, walks 2, strikes out 4, and of his 101 pitches, 61 were strikes. A 1-0 home to Baez, and it's off the handle of the bat, back into the netting. Miles Gordon's double in the 6th was the Otters' first hit since the first inning. A swinging strike from Baez drops him back 1-2 in the count. A 1-2 stays low, so the count evens up at 2-2. The 2-2 to Baez. Digs this one out of the turf over to the left side. Wilbur throws over to first in time for out number 1. So it's now Brody Tanksley at the plate. First offering to him, chopped towards Wilbur at short. He'll play over to first in time for out number 2. So Andy Armstrong heads to the plate with a quick 2 outs for Evansville. Both of them sent at the shortstop Wilbur over there. Does appear as if Jacob Bowles is going to enter this game as we head to the bottom half of the 7th. First pitch to Armstrong, left alone for a called strike 1. Oh, 1 our count as Armstrong waits on the next pitch. On the way, and he grounds it to the left side. It's going to work itself foul, however. So we will take a second to reset after the foul ball. Armstrong back in the count 0-2. Two outs, nobody on, and an 0-2 count to Andy Armstrong. Trying to avoid the Otters' second 3-up, 3-down inning of the day. 0-2 home. Push towards the right side, but foul. And the count goes to 0-2. Armstrong able to compete at least one more at bat, or one more pitch. 0-2 is hit weakly towards the left side. Walters chases in. The throw over to first is going to be close, but in time for out number 3. And for the second time today, Evansville goes 3 up, 3 down. We head to the bottom half of the 7th. Evansville trails by 5. To the bottom of the 7th we go, and the Otters are going to opt to a new pitcher. Jacob Bowles gets the nod out of the bullpen. And this call to the bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Bowles on the mound, Tanksley behind the plate. That pitcher catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give them a call at 812-475-9000. Due up in the half inning are Hector Roa, Tyler Wilbur, and Devin Fisher. The 3 have combined for just 1 hit. That belongs to Hector Roa back in the 5th. First pitch towards him, outside for ball 1. Bowles, of course, his last appearance was in last night's game. He failed to find the out column, but he did give up 2 walks hit by pitch as well, and 2 of those men came home to score. Ball sent to the right side, right into the glove of Andy Armstrong for the first out of the inning. So that brings up the shortstop, Tyler Wilbur, who's 0 for 2 on the day. Looks like another arm starting to warm for Washington. Kenny Pearson out there. Wilbur reached on a walk in the first inning and is 0 for 2 since then with a foul out and a strikeout. First pitch home. Finds the zone for a called strike 1. The 0-1 to the plate, outside, and with the count evens up, 1 ball, 1 strike. Even 1-1 counts as Jacob Bowles fires a pitch home, sends it on the ground to the right side past a diving Armstrong, and there are runners, or a runner at first now. So Wilbur has his first base hit of the day, the 12th of the day for Washington. And now the catcher, Devin Fisher, heads to the plate. So there's a runner at first and one out here in the bottom half of the seventh inning. Otters still trail by 5. Pitch comes home across the zone but low for ball 1. A 1-0 offering to Devin Fisher. Low again and to the outside a bit as well for ball 2. A 2-0 offering to the catcher, Devin Fisher. Outside again, make it 3-0 the count to him. The 3-0 to the plate. This one's good for a called strike. Towards that lower part of the zone once again. So a 3-1 heads home. This one's off the edge of the bat and out towards shallow right. Armstrong will bring it in for the second out. He worked himself way back to get that one. So the runner stays at first. There's now 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Two outs, runner at first. As the first pitch comes home to Tristan Peterson, low and away ball 1. Peterson 1 for 3 on the day with a walk, a home run, and 2 strikeouts. A 1-0 home. Got him to check the swing, but it didn't matter. It was a called strike anyway on the high inside. And the count evens. Don't forget that the Otters are right back at it Tuesday night at home. Come join us at historic Posse Field, 6:35 first pitch. 1-1, sent on the ground towards Khalil at short. He'll underhand to second, where they'll get out number 3, and we head to the 8th inning. Evansville down by 5 in this one. A lot of work yet to go. Top of the 8th inning. Evansville has the 9-1 two-hitters due up here in the half inning, and they're going to face a new arm as well. As coming in to pitch for Washington is number 13, Kenny Pearson. Lefty out of Sheffield Lake, Ohio, getting the nod out of the right field pin. It's called the bullpen presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. The foul ball will even our count up at 1-1 for George Khalil. So it's Pearson on the mound, Fisher behind the plate. The pitcher catcher battery sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at The Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. An outside pitch takes our count to 2 balls, 1 strike for George Khalil, and the Otters are going to start to warm up Tyler Spring out in the left field pin. Two-one. Khalil sends it on the ground to the third baseman, Walters. He'll fire across to first in time for out 1. So we head back to the top of the order where the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Brian Rosario, steps up to the plate. He is 0 for 2 with a ground out, a line out, and a walk. First pitch to Brian Rosario, taken on the outside edge. And with it, he advances in the count 1-0. One ball, no strikes, and it's watched for ball 2 by Brian Rosario. Rosario has just 1 base hit in the entire series, and only his second time on base was his walk in the third. A 2-0 home. Towards the high inside corner and a late called strike. Takes the count to 2-1. Due up after Rosario is Miles Gordon. He's 1 for 3. The 2-1 to Rosario. Again high and in. This one too high for ball 3. (3-1) to Rosario, and it stays a bit high for ball 4, and Rosario will have himself his second walk of the day. His last time on first, they tried to have him steal second, and he slid right into the tag. Rosario at first, Gordon at the plate. First pitch he sees is ball 1 inside. Miles Gordon grounded out to the first baseman in each of his first 2 opportunities, then had a double in the 6th, was brought home on Bierman's sac fly RBI. The 1-0 stays on the outside and advances the count out to 2-0. So the lefty Miles Gordon looking to keep this 8th inning going for Evansville. Another pitch stays on the outside edge. This one does find the zone for a called strike, however. Gordon's double in the 6th inning was the first base hit and the only base hit for Evansville since their 2 in the 1st inning. They currently have 2 runs on 3 hits and no errors, while Washington's got 7 runs on 12 hits and no errors. Time is called by Gordon before we can advance any further. 2-1 to the plate. Gordon skies this one towards shallow right. The second baseman, Jabrul, gets underneath it and brings it in for the second out. So with 2 down and a man on first, Elijah McNamee heading to the plate. McNamee is 1 for 3 on the day, had a double in the first, scored on Bierman's single. Since he's struck out and has a fielder's choice ground out. First pitch home to a McNamee, taken for a called strike 1. Otters head home after this for 6 games at home before they come right back here to Washington to start their 6-game road trip to end the season. 3 here and 3 in Florence in about a week and a half. Called strike 2 on McNamee. He turns around and says, I respectfully disagree. But he's back in the count 0-2. The man on first and 2 outs. Does look like Tyler Springs ready to enter this game for the next half inning for Evansville. The 0-2. Called strike 3. McNamee does not agree at all, and he will have to make his way back to the dugout with his second strikeout of the day. We head to the bottom half of the 8th. It's Washington 7, Evansville 2 on the Otters Digital Network. Bottom of the 8th inning, and a new pitcher into the game for Evansville, Tyler Spring, gets the nod out of the bullpen. The Scuttle Bullpen presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Spring on the mound. Tanksley behind the plate, the pitcher-catcher battery. Sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at The Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. First pitch in is low and inside for ball 1. Last appearance from Tyler Spring came in the final game at Windy City. He gave up 1 run. It was unearned on 0 hits in his 2/3 of an inning. He walked 3 in the inning as well. A 1-0 is fouled off to the left side, and the count's even at 1-1. So with Nobody out and nobody on, starting off the inning. A 1-1 count right away to Scotty DeBrule. It's a foul tip, strike 2 for Scotty DeBrule. DeBrule is 2 for 3 with 2 singles, a walk, and a ground out. The 1-2 on its way. High and outside will even our count up. Two balls, 2 strikes. And it's foul tipped into the glove of Tanksley for a German-American Bank strikeout. First one for Tyler Spring on the day. So with 1 out and nobody on, Wagner Lagrange, the DH, steps up. Right now, his 2-run triple, still a big deal in this game, as it not only got Washington on the board, but really started off and kickstarted that big first inning for him. Pitch comes home and falls into the zone, or no, stays just inside for ball 1. Good offering from Spring there, just didn't get the call. A 1-0 to Wagner Lagrange with 1 out and nobody on. Is swung on and missed to even our count up. 1 ball, 1 strike now. Andrew Check stands in waiting in the on-deck area. 1-1 to the plate. It stays well outside to take the count to 2-1. Another arm warming up for Washington in the right field pen. Looks like Christian James down there. A 2-1. Misses once again, and it's a 3-1 count. So Spring has to fight from behind in this at-bat as he fires home on the 3-1 pitch to Lagrange. Ball is sent high and mid-deep to left. Rosario will chase in, and that's where he'll bring it in for out number 2. So with 2 down and nobody on, Andrew Check heading to the plate. Andrew Check got an RBI single in the first, a home run in the 5th. 2 still big RBIs for this squad. Right now, his RBI single back in the first is the game-winning run. His opening pitch comes home for a called strike 1. Fell into the zone at the last second. A little bit of a shift to the right side from the Evansville defense as the 0-1 pitch heads towards Andrew Check. It's foul tipped into the netting behind home. And it's quickly an 0-2 count. A chance for Tyler Spring to put in a 3-up, 3-down inning. As he fires home on the 0-2. Stays well high and outside. Got away from him. Takes the count to 1 ball, 2 strikes. The 1-2 from Tyler Spring on the way home. Swinging strike 3. And a second German-American Bank strikeout for Spring takes us to the 9th inning. Otters need at least 5 to tie this one up. 9th inning coming at you next. Top of the ninth, and Evansville needs 5 runs to keep this game going. It'll be Zach Bierman, J.R. Davis, and Jeffrey Baez due up. Zach Bierman on the day is 1 for 2, an RBI single in the first, a ground out in the fourth, and a sac fly RBI in the sixth. His first offering well inside for ball 1. Otters got their first 2 hits in that first inning when they took the 1-0 lead. They didn't find their third hit until that sixth when Gordon got himself on. Those are the only 3 for him. Bierman zooms one out towards the left field wall. Chasing over in foul territory is the left fielder Peterson. It's off the tip of his glove and lands right next to the foul fair line. Had it landed a couple inches to the right side, it would have been fair and Bierman would have been all right. But Peterson couldn't quite get there in time, and the count remains at 1-1. The 1-1 is sent very high, but not very deep to the left side. Wilbur will step back out of the shortstop spacing for out number 1. So that now brings up J.R. Davis. Davis is 0 for 2 on the day. A fielder's choice, a pop out, and a walk. Davis ready to go at the plate. His first offering. Good for a called strike. Jeffrey Baez stands on deck, hoping to not be the last chance for the Otters. An 0-1 towards Davis, and he pushes one foul to the right side. Will end up way out of this stadium. And it drops him back in the count 0-2. Again, Evansville back at it on Tuesday night at home to face the Joliet Slammers for a 3-game set. 6:35 first pitch, Tuesday through Saturday. Then Sunday's a special 12:05. The 0-2 home, pushed off to the right side, down the right field line, and down for a base hit. J.R. Davis is going to round first. He's heading towards second. He's rounding towards third, and he's going to have himself all the way over to third with a 1-out triple here in the ninth. So now Jeffrey Baez making his way to the plate. 1 out to 1 on here in the top of the ninth inning for Evansville. Still tons of work to do for the Otters, though. Baez is 0 for 2 on the day, a strikeout and a ground out. He was hit by a pitch in the second, ended up on third, but could not be brought home in the half inning. First pitch to him, he launches it high and foul to the right side. It's going to keep working itself foul and actually ends up in the seating area. So the count falls to 0-1. Jeffrey Baez, the right fielder this evening, still looking for his first base hit of the game. As the 0-1 pitch makes its way home to him. Misses to the high outside corner, and in turn the count evens up at a ball and a strike. A 1-1. Baez way out in front of it for a swinging strike 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes for Jeffrey Baez. Pitch comes home well outside. It's going to get away. Here comes Davis towards the plate, but there will be no throw towards home, and the Otters are going to get an additional run in this one. They do still trail by 4. But on the wild pitch, J.R. Davis is able to come home and score after his triple. A 2-2 to Baez. Hit hard towards Wilbur at short. He'll play it into the glove, and a throw over to first is in time for out number 2. And the Otters are down to their last out. Heading to the plate is the catcher, Brody Tanksley. Tanksley is 0 for 3 on the day with a line out, a strikeout, and a ground out. First offering towards Tanksley. Hits it hard towards the shortstop, Wilbur. It's into the glove. The throw across is in time for out number 3. Washington's going to win this one. They put up a 5 spot in the bottom of that first inning, and they never looked back in this. We start off in the top of the first where Evansville got their first run of the game. McNamee doubled before Bierman brought him in with an RBI single. Then in that bottom half of the first inning, that's when we saw Washington start to kind of explode for some offense of their own. It started off with a walk for Peterson and then 3 straight base hits. A single for DeBrule, a 2-run triple for LaGrange, and an RBI single for Andrew Check. After an out for Washington, Ian Walters sent a 2-run home run over the walls over there in left and extended the lead to 5. We held it 5-1 for a while until we hit the 4th, and in each of the 4th and 5th innings, Washington hit solo home runs to up their advantage to 7-1. Evansville grabbed a run in the top half of the 6th inning, scoring on a sacrifice fly for Zach Bierman. And then the Otters grabbed one more here in the top of the 9th on the wild pitch. That's all she wrote. A 7-3 win for Washington is able to redeem the Wild Things in this series. Evansville still does take the series, and there's still positivity to take from this series. And I think the biggest one has to be is that the pitching and the defense held one of the best offenses in the entire league to just 3 runs in the first 2 games and only 1 extra base hit in the first 2 games. But then we saw the full-fledged offense of Washington explode here in Game 3. As for Evansville, they are going to fall to 45-38, and they now fall 1 game out of second place here in the Western Division. At 8.5 games back will be Schaumburg, 9.5 back Evansville, and 10.5 back are Joliet. So there is a lot of similarities throughout this Western Division. It's going to be very close, and every night we're going to see changes in where people are sitting. The Otters have to be very careful as they move through this next little bit of stretch of games. They've got 6 games at home next week that they've got to play well in to keep themselves in the playoff conversation, because after the 6 games at home, it's right back here to Washington for 3 games against the Wild Things, and then over to Florence for 3 games there. Still plenty of time for the Otters to keep themselves in a playoff spot, and it all starts Tuesday night at historic Bosse Field. The Joliet Slammers come to town for a 6:35 first pitch. It's Taco Tuesday at Bosse Field. If you haven't tried the new Supreme Taco, you've got to. $4 there on the lower concourse. You can get that Tuesday night as the Otters and Slammers play the first of their final 3 games of the season. Bill McEwen will be next to me, and I will join him to give you the coverage both on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. I want to say thank you for tuning into the Otters on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. A lot of things you could do with your Sunday, and we're pleased you've decided to spend it with the two-time Frontier League champion Evansville Otters. For all of us here at the Evansville Otters, I'm Matthew Will, saying so long from Wild Things Park in Washington, Pennsylvania. I'll talk to you in Evansville on Tuesday night.